1, 2, 3, 4. I will not be afraid, for I know my hope, it is justified, I know. Revelation still unfolds. I will not be ashamed. I will open my soul to the mystery beyond my control. The love that makes this broken world whole. There is only so far down the road a body can see. I will do what's mine and move on, speaking truth with love to powers ever greater than me. With compassion, I'll be where I belong. I will not be afraid, for I know my hope, it is justified, I know. Revelation still unfolds. I will not be ashamed. I will open my soul to the mystery beyond my control. The love that makes this broken world whole. Not afraid of the love that makes this whole world whole. Good morning. Nice to have you here. Sounds like we're still actively gathering out there. It really is nice to have you here. Happy. When is it officially spring? Last month on the 22nd, I think. And okay, so we're in spring, and there's absolutely justification for all the pollen, and we're in daylight savings time now, so we don't have to do that again for a year or lose an hour for another year. But we're here because stuff matters to us. It matters to us how we live in the world. It matters to us how we treat one another. And it matters to us that we pay attention. And so we come together to try to encourage one another to be better at all of those things. And we meet in a community of covenant, not creed. We believe we don't have to think alike to love alike, to walk reverently in the earth and respectfully with one another. So, whoever you are, whatever your age, race, origin, orientation, background, status, ability, identity, if you care to be here with us, you are welcome in a spirit of mutual respect. We front load these services a little bit with some information, trying to make sure we get all the pertinent stuff to everybody that's tuned in. And I would like to invite our board treasurer, Rebecca Tuggle, to share some info with you.
Thank you, Barbara. Good morning, everybody. nice to see some faces I haven't seen in a long time. Good to see y'all. Okay, our volunteer of the month for April is Tina Hines, who happens to be here today. Tina is a faithful regular at Building and Grounds Days, and she is now a member of the All Souls Tech crew, bringing you these hybrid worship services. So another round of applause, please, for Ms. Tina Hines. Giveaway the plate this month is going to be Highland Center Ministries, who we partner with. There's a lot of congregations actually in the city that partner with Highland Center Ministries. One of the things that they do that we are involved in is the Highland Blessing Dinner that happens every Thursday evening at 5:30. Our night is the first Thursday of the month, so if you would like to come and see for yourself what it's like, it's always a good time, honestly. You're helping people to have a dinner, a sit-down dinner that they don't normally get to have. You either act as server or you act as table host, and it's just a good sit-down dinner. It's nice. It really is. I've been involved in it a couple of times, probably need to go some more. But they do so many other things. I mean, geez, I could be here all day just saying all of that. But that's who our giveaway the plate is this month. Any money given to the church that is not going to pledge, that's what they get. They get that money for that month. So please, I'm sorry. Ooh, yeah, thank you. I always forget about that candle being over there. And you can use the baskets that are there at the doorway to the sanctuary. That's where we don't pass them around anymore. We just ask that you please donate there. We will be having another congregational meeting on April the 16th, directly following the service. This is more information and more about what we're doing going forward as a church, so we would please like for you to come and be involved. We need your input. After service today, we've got Marianne Cummings and Ann Morgan are going to have what they're calling the DeCarlo Book Browse. Now, if you didn't know Sharon DeCarlo, she was a member of this congregation, and we lost her, unfortunately, to an accident in February. And she was a big reader of books. She loved books, and they are going to bring her collection up here in a van for everybody to peruse and take what you would like. She was big on reading and wanted everybody else to be big on reading too, and so this is something that Marianne was really wanting to do. As I said, we've got baskets at the back of the sanctuary. Any gifts, donations that you can give us help us to keep going, so we appreciate those and we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. I caught a piece of the news last night, and I noticed them talking about all kinds of events in Shreveport, and the one they did not mention was Field Gay on the channel that I watched. And I wanted to thank Rayola and Angela for hosting our table at Field Gay yesterday. Thank you very much. And also Ash for hosting the LTA table yesterday at what we do matters. And I think it's good to come here and be reminded how good you are at doing the stuff that matters. And I hope you'll relax into this hour, let the pew hold you. Remind yourself to take a few easy breaths. And let us together enter a spirit of worship. Come, come, whoever you are, Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Y'all are supposed to be singing an octave above me. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. I got fooled by the overtones. Thank you. It really fleshed it out when you do that. To worship God is nothing other than to serve people. It does not need rosaries, prayer carpets, or robes. All peoples are members of the same body, created from one essence. And if fate brings suffering to one member, the others cannot stay at rest. Today we celebrate and amplify the voices of those who serve and who, along with many of you, weave together the strands of love and strength that form the web of this community. Would anyone like to lead the first part of our chalice lighting this morning? No? Mind if I chime in?
We light this chalice
To celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hand. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other. Thank you, Ernie. You're doing great. At this hour, in small towns, big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we're part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth. Would you please rise in body or spirit and say the unison affirmation with me, please? Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. Our opening hymn is, "Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom." I'm sorry. will change again. So here, let's start in the right place anyway. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind. I need to stop and do it yet again. Up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind, stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah, when Susan's here, we find your key. Thank you for singing. There's another verse, singing and praying with my mind, stayed on freedom. Got to start with the first step, though, right? So we're going to walk and talk. There's another song that we do. I'm sorry, Ben. You're fine. There's another song that we do. It's real simple. It's kind of familiar, it seems, but I'm not sure why. If I thought about it harder, I might probably remember it. But if we talk about Unitarians reaching high, what do you think we're talking about? Aspiration? Okay, what else? Social justice. What are we reaching high for? Freedom. Ideals. Ideals. I think that, yes, ideals, freedom, justice. It's always just past reach, isn't it? All of those beautiful ideas are always just, so we keep reaching. That's the first part of the song. And then when we talk about digging down deep, what are we talking about? The work I hear, I'm seeing motions, but I'm not hearing what y'all are saying. Go into your soul. Go into your soul. So doing, looking deep inside yourself, right? And if we talk about stretching our arms out wide, what are we talking about?
Embracing the community, inclusiveness.
Community, embracing the inclusiveness. Yes, embracing everything. So the song is, I guess, I'm going to start it in the wrong key. For everybody here but me, I'm a you. I reach up high, I dig down deep where all the meanings lie. I'm a you. I stretch my arms out wide to embrace the whole wide world. What you think? Can we stand up and wiggle a little bit and do that? I'm a you. I reach up high, I dig down deep where all the meanings lie. I'm a you. I stretch my arms out wide to embrace the whole wide world. I'm a you. I reach up high, I dig down deep where all the meanings lie. I'm a you. I stretch my arms out wide to embrace the whole wide world. Thank you. Now, have a seat. Now, does being a Unitarian mean that you know better than everybody else? It's a trick question. Does it mean that everybody else is wrong? No, to both of those things. Why do we call it a spiritual quest? Never, ever ends. And if we ever think we got to the end and the answers, we're fooling ourselves. And we're kind of blocking off all the things that make us Unitarian Universalists. So I want to encourage everybody to keep minds open, arms outstretched and up high and digging down deep. And we're going to, in a little while, hear from some of our members that have been doing some of that reflection, I would imagine. And they're going to talk a little bit about their journey. But right now, we're going to sing our kids out to classes. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. This is from Andrea Mole. As we gathered together, may we remember when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. Until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. May it be so, and let us carry this intention as we enter the silence.
When I breathe in,
I'm delighted this morning that we will have 3 of our members share part of their journey and story. I don't remember exactly how Susan phrased what she was asking them to talk about. So that being as it may, I have put them on the order of service kind of in the length of time that they have been members. And we'll start with the newest, who is not new, and move towards the most senior membership, one of the 3. So James, James Peck, please, would you like to share with us this morning?
First of all, I apologize for the sound because I'm not up there, so whatever you get is what you're getting volume-wise. Hopefully it's sufficient for you. I grew up in a very traditional First Baptist church. That would be Southern Baptist. I was in church before I was born. My parents were attending well before. And as I grew up in that church, really, I remember it being a very loving, accepting, positive environment. It was a vibrant group of children and youth that I was able to socialize with. And I just remember we did a lot of outreach and service to the community there. It just seems that over time that changed. I don't know if I changed. I know I did. And also if the church in general has changed. But as I attended college and went to graduate school, we were really searching for a place that we felt at home. I've been to Assembly of God, Christian church, Presbyterian, non-denominational. As I became trained in psychology and developed, I just found that there was some really critical differences in what I believe personally and what was being said at church that I attended. And that may not reflect the church in general, but the churches that I attended, I heard things that would be incompatible with the practice of psychology, like mental illness is demon possession. I had people say that to me. All they need is Jesus. And they wouldn't have depression or any type of mental health struggles. If you have faith, you don't need any type of medications. You just need to have more faith. And absolutely that certain sexual orientations are an abomination to God. Those are things that are absolutely incompatible with my views and the professional views of the practice of psychology. Women are not fit to lead the church or to be in leadership over men. So we searched as a family, as I got married with Jennifer, my beautiful wife. We had children. We were really looking for a faith that was able to speak to all of us. And here at All Souls, the things that are core tenets of this faith, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, the free and responsible, heavy emphasis on responsible search for truth and meaning. Every one of our family members are able to hold their beliefs and have their own spiritual journey, and everyone is accepted here. And I think that's really important for my children to teach them to accept and love. I loved when Barbara was leading the song and it was reaching out the arms to accept and love everybody. Teaching people to respect all beliefs, to fight for justice, and to walk their own journey of faith development versus being indoctrinated with specific beliefs. That is what has drawn us to All Souls. And I really find that the people here, the acceptance, the love, both inside this church and out at other people's houses, that fellowship and those relationships that we have are the most important thing. And I know as we move forward and make decisions about where we'll be headed in the future, it's those relationships that we have with one another that really make this church what it is. And that's how I came to All Souls and what keeps us here. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And now we'll hear from a stalwart choir member, Gail Burt.
Thank you, Barbara. Recently, on the afternoon of March 27th, the news broke on TV about the murders of 3 adults and 3 children at a school in Nashville run by a Christian denomination. The killer was a person born a female but who identified as a male. The latter is the terminology I'll use here. As the facts came out, it was learned that he had once been a student at the school. My first thought was to wonder why this rage happened. I can't imagine anyone doing this unless they have a bitter sense of having been horribly mistreated and disrespected. What could possibly have happened at this religious institution? I obviously don't know the answer, but I can't help but wonder if he could have been a member of a loving and accepting congregation like ours. Would he have gone into his deep despair? I cannot accept that he would have been so without hope, as he obviously was. I believe our UU mission would have lifted him up and saved him from the horrible pain he endured and caused. Which leads me to the ultimate question: is there any way, once and for all time, for someone to lead us as a nation to our deepest human truth, which is this: at our core, regardless of our personal and cultural and religious differences, we are all the same. We don't need to see each other as alien from us or as the other. My hopes and fears are like your hopes and fears. My joy and pain are like your joy and pain. Perhaps only the causes differ. By understanding this, maybe we wouldn't elect corrupt and ultimately damaging to our democracy politicians who seek to divide us from each other and then conquer us. And yes, in this church, we can speak of our differences in politics and in the issues of the day without rancor, because we understand our covenant of acceptance. Now I need to talk about how I ended up here at All Souls. Not so long ago, after years and years, literally since I was a teenager, I finally moved back here for good to the town where I was born and raised. I looked around and gauged the prevalence of what I came to term the 4 R's: red state, Republican, right wing, and I'm sorry to say a certain amount of casual racism. It was not really overt or virulent, just almost as an aside. As a result, I didn't really feel like I was back in the hometown I remembered. I just didn't think I belonged here anymore. But because of family obligations, I was stuck. Where was I going to find my peers who were liberal, progressive, and open-minded? But more important than that, where could I find people who would accept my agnosticism? Certainly not in this so-called buckle of the Bible Belt. Then I thought about this UU church. And what did I find here? I saw it was unlike anything I had ever encountered before. Miss Susan wove her wonderful stories for us all, especially the children, and Miss Barbara spoke of the interdependent web, a term I'd never heard before. Eventually, I came to understand that Susan is a perennial earth mother to us all, and that Barbara is a rocket-fueled songwriter. We in the congregation are the definition of diversity. We are lesbians, gays, bis, trans, atheists, agnostics, deists, Buddhists, Taoists, Wiccans, former practicing Jews, and former practicing Christians. This makes for lively discussions among us, especially when we go out to lunch together after church. I think this is the only place that satisfies my intellectual curiosity, but more than that, there is the warmth I feel from our spirit of inclusion rather than exclusion. Personally, I came to my agnosticism as a natural result of moving to Austin as a teenager and soaking up the radically different culture of that town and that university. Much later, at the very end of my travels, I lived there for another 16 years. Several things from those years stand out in my mind. For instance, my getting an interview with the local ACLU attorneys, and from that, becoming forever a convinced believer in their noble mission of defending our Constitution. And then there is my marching up Congress Avenue to the Capitol with many, many others to lend my presence for gay rights. But the most meaningful thing for me, for all my years, were the years in the 1990s when I volunteered my time for AIDS Services of Austin. There was no cure for it then, and everyone died of it. This was heartbreaking for us all, but it taught me compassion as nothing else ever has. I cannot leave you without saying I'm convinced that our best days as a congregation are yet to come. We will have more time and energy to focus on our work for the community, because now it takes so much just to keep up with this beautiful property, and also because we'll be more accessible to people. We're all on this new journey together, and we will be there for each other. P.S. It's now today, Sunday, literally today, 3:02 a.m., and I'm falling in love, and I think you will too, with a book that won the Pulitzer about 20 years ago called Middlesex, spelled just like it sounds, Middlesex. Well, I'll sign off for now. Thank you.
And for our last speaker this morning, we invite Ernie Cowger up to share part of his journey. He has been a long-term member. I don't have the number of years in front of me, though. Ernie, maybe you know. He's also still a current board member. So.
I brought a beautiful rose to share this morning. A friend of mine shared it yesterday, and it's since it's been cut, it just smells more and more luscious, and so I wanted to bring it today. I'm 77 years old. I was born in 1945 in Conway, Arkansas, and I'm going to tell you I identify a whole lot with James because I grew up in a Southern Baptist atmosphere, and I was steeped in it. And it was a very supportive and youth welcoming, as long as we fit in, right, to the church. And after living in Conway, I was there 2 years and moved to West Texas. And so I'm really, when I was 2, so I'm really a West Texan. But I'm going to tell you some details about what it was like in my family in my real early years. And if I get too detailed and you want to doze off or something, you can come back and welcome you back. I didn't know my grandfather and my great-grandfather, but I understood from what I heard and what I sensed that they were very strict men. They were very dedicated to what was ethical and right, and treating other people that way. And they were very religious. we would call it either conservative or fundamental today, I believe. And for an example of this, and I was amazed when I found this letter that my grandfather wrote to my dad when I and my sister were already around. So he's telling my dad about some things that he needs to be aware of as far as raising kids. And what I was struck with was that my grandfather quoted scripture and gave the verse and the chapter it was from. So, and I've never written this in a letter to my parents or anybody typically about how you live and what scriptures you take and how you apply that to your kids. My dad was a deacon in all the churches that he attended, which means he was part of the leadership. He was in the choir. My mother was a piano player and organist. She played for revivals when she was 14 years old, and these were some of the tent revivals. And she worked. She went to school at a Baptist 2-year college in Conway, Arkansas, was called a finishing school, and they needed to be finished. But she worked with Baptist students there and represented the Southern Baptist group in trying to minister to people at this college, and it was a little bitty college, although it was residential. She lived there along with her sister. And then she went to what now is University of Central Arkansas. Back then it was Arkansas State Teachers College. And the last 2 years there, she again was part of the Baptist student focus in ministering to campus students. So, what did I do? I became interested in Baptist student unions in my college years. And then I've got some other stories about that. So, but my mother was, because she was a piano player and she was organist, she was always playing at churches, and she was typically either the pianist or organist at the church where we attended. She also was in a choir, so my sister was in a choir, Ernie's in a choir. We attended church all the time. And if those of you who didn't grow up in this kind of atmosphere, we were there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and then for revivals, because we needed to be sure that we saved ourselves and other people. We had at least probably 2 of those for adults a year, and sometimes maybe 3, and we had youth revivals. So there was a lot of pressure on making a profession of faith. And here's Ernie at 9 years old, and I walk down the aisle and make a profession of faith, and that's what we would call it. And committing myself to Jesus, which and living that life. So I remember the night when I was baptized, and baptism is by immersion because we're following John the Baptist. And I was standing out after I had been baptized in the parking lot of our church, and it was dark. And I had people walking by saying, oh, you should feel, we're so proud of you. You should have all these wonderful feelings about, what you did and be proud of yourself. And I stood there and I would take in what they said. And I said, I don't feel any different. And so I thought, is this what, that they were saying I should be feeling so different, but, I'm just like I did before I was baptized, and earlier today, and it's like, so I was real bewildered by all this and trying to make sense of it. But I kept involving myself in it. I went to Baptist encampments, which would Glorieta, if any of you know that, Ridgecrest was in North Carolina. Glorieta was New Mexico. And I loved all those activities. And it was really exciting for me. I got real, I guess, tired of the pressure. I was rededicating my life. You have the first dedication at 9, okay? Probably at least twice a year. I didn't keep, this is all a guess. Because of the emphasis was on that we're not living the life that we should be living in. And we always had at the end of the services, every head bowed and every eye closed. And, if you need help, you raise your hand or you come down, and it's like, man, I hit the aisle regularly. And when I ran out of times of rededicating my life, then I decided, well, I'm going to dedicate my life to Christian service, and typically that meant doing something in church. It's like a minister. So I started thinking about, would I go to seminary, and would that be part of my life? Also, another part of my life is my mother's best friend was a missionary to Nigeria, and she would come home. She was a Southern Baptist missionary, and she would come home every 4 years for a furlough for a year and stay. And she would typically come by our house or Abilene, and we'd have a big shadoo about it. And I had a cousin that was also a missionary to the Philippines, and so he would come home to Abilene, and his wife's parents lived there, and we would go visit them. And this was always a big to-do. I mean, these people are in town, and what can we learn from them? So that was kind of up there for, in quotes for me to think about that. And so I go through, get through adolescence, go to college at Texas Tech, and this was in 1963, and graduated in 1967, so it's been a long time ago. And while there, was I part of the Baptist Student Center? You betcha, see? And I even ended up being president of it my senior year. One real strong memory I have about there, we had a mission outreach, and our mission outreach is wanting to help bring Jesus to everybody and have a conversion experience like I had, and let that change our life. Well, I remember going out this Friday night to this little church where there were these 3 little kids that probably 6, 7, and 8 or something. And I started quoting scriptures to them. It's like, then I thinking to myself, what in the world am I doing? It's like, I don't understand these, much less do they understand it, So that was the last time that I did those little mission trips. So my sense of mission with the Baptist Church and all that I did, and the focus of, if you would look at what they call it BSM now, Baptist Student Ministry, at Texas Tech, they're still doing this Friday night thing, and they're still, their emphasis is on witnessing to the larger university and helping people know Christ as far as they know. And so this was, this was part of my life. And although I kept questioning the narrowness of it and feeling like that we weren't doing something and I didn't know what the something was sometimes. So when I was summer missionary, get this, for 2.5 months, twice during my college years. Once I went to Plattsburgh, New York, and for those of you who know Vacation Bible School, I was the director. I never thought of myself as being the director of Vacation. This was as a college student. I mean, this was always done by the church staff, you know, when I and older members of the church, and here I was doing that at this little church, Southern Baptist Church in Plattsburgh, New York. And then I decided, I majored in psychology like James did. I got really involved in that and tried to fit all that with what I was, you know, how I was brought up and what I learned there. And I was excited about trying to live the life of what I was learning about in psychology. How do I apply that to my living and in my relationships and in being more loving and warmer? And therapy was a big part of my life. I've spent years in therapy, and especially in the 80s, and it's just been invaluable for me, what I've learned about me. And this is what I think our religious experience needs to be all about, is how we learn more about each other and then what we do with that and demonstrating that to the world. So at the end of my senior year, I graduated, and I had applied to go to this again was sponsored by the Student Baptist Convention in Texas. Went to Frostburg State College, which I didn't even know Maryland had a part that went out over West Virginia. But that's where I was, and in that little college of about 2,000 students, I was their BSU director. And to be there and to do that, I was required to be a graduate student because I was also dealing with the Vietnam War and what my response was to that. When I was in Stamford, Texas, and Abilene, and then Lubbock, and I didn't think, we didn't talk about Vietnam. You know, I saw it on TV, the nightly news, but it was kind of foreign to me, except now I was dealing with the draft board, and they kept making stricter and stricter requirements to be deferred. And I got more scared and more scared about what that meant for me and what I would have to do to either how I would deal with it. And I'm jumping ahead. So I spent that time in Frostburg. I was able to go to Washington, D.C. some, and it was when we had the march with, we had all the people that camped out on the mall, the Poor People's Rally thing. I was able to be there and see some of that. I was there after King was killed, and we had the burning in L.A. and then the marching in D.C., and I got to drive around in Washington and see Army, National Guard people with rifles on all the corners, and nobody on the streets because of the tight lockdown that was on our capital. And so I was really having some awakenings about how do I deal with a lot of this stuff that's going on. I got involved with community living and thinking that, you know, is that something that I could be part of? I went down to visit at Koinonia Farms, which was the beginning of Habitat for Humanity, and so I was able to do all of that. So I went to seminary, and as a way of staying deferred, and also to try to check out, all those rededications to Christian service and what that meant. And what I found when I was there was that I grew more and more open and aware and outreaching in many different ways versus a lot of the people that were there becoming more conservative and more fundamental in their Baptist beliefs. I explored Quakers, Unitarians, meditations, Eastern religions, and that I just had not been exposed to that very much in the past. So from there, then I again dealing with the Vietnam War, and we had the lottery, and I thank God I got a high number, which solved my deal with what I would do if I went to graduate school instead of finished seminary. And so I went to University of Georgia for a doctorate in counseling, got that there, and that was just a broad opening experience for me. I was exposed to a lot of new thinking and became real active in experiential kinds of therapy and beliefs and how we could be more inclusive instead of exclusive. And after that, I went to Jacksonville, Florida, where I met Ruth. She became my wife in 1975, and we moved here. She had a Catholic background, and I came with the Southern Baptist, so we tried to figure out how we could mesh this together, and we ended up finding All Souls in 1976 and became very active. She in religious education, and me more in just a general sense, working with the board and things adult focused. I was on board president back then twice. Very active Ruth was in the RE services and our children. Yeah, I need to mention our children. We learned of Edna Gladney Home, which is where we adopted our children from in Fort Worth, and through some friends and this church, and then and that was an opening experience for us about having kids and having to adjust to how we do everything, how we live together, and what we're going to do to help everybody. So we came here, and I was teaching with Louisiana Tech at Barksdale, and it was just it's a wonderful experience. I was there 40 years, and it seems like it was almost yesterday. I just love teaching and helping people with counseling. I've always had the struggle of how do I apply what I'm learning or what I teach, and how big my shortcomings were in trying to do that. And so I came up focused a lot on how I can be more gentle with myself, how I can be more forgiving of myself and other people, how I can be more aware and focus on a higher consciousness and being present and being more relaxed and stable with myself and know myself more. And this church has, I came back about 2 to 3 years ago after being gone for a good while since that divorce, and it's been really nice. I appreciate, it was a little scary because I didn't know a lot of people. People had changed, and I had forgotten some of the things about some of the people that I knew, had known. And I thank you for welcoming me back. And I am glad that I'm here, and I'm glad to have this journey with you and for all of us together. And we're going to make it. Yeah, okay? And may love and peace be with you, with all of us. Thank you.
I think I'm going to play drums for our closing hymn. I'll just pull it up. It's a simple song. It goes, and I'll play the drums with it once I kind of teach it to you. It's, we belong to the world. We belong to the dreamer of dreaming, the maker of making, the spirit of life. We belong to the world. Every heart has a part in the healing. It's more than a feeling. We belong. Is that key just horrible? Okay. You want to rise and sing that one? We belong to the world. We belong to the dreamer of dreaming, the maker of making, the spirit of life. We belong to the world. Every heart has a part in the healing. It's more than a feeling. We belong. Come on. We belong to the world. We belong to the dreamer of dreaming, maker of making, spirit of life. We belong to the world. Every heart has a part in the healing. It's more than a feeling. We belong. So our closing is a responsive reading. If it's not too hard for you, you can remain standing. If you can see the screen. No. Friend, I have lost the way. The way leads on. Is there another way? It's one. I must retrace the track. It's lost and gone. Back. I must travel back. None goes there, none. Then I'll make here my place. The road runs on. Stand still and set my face. The road leads on. Stay here, forever stay. None stays here, none. I cannot find the way. The way leads on. Oh, places I have passed. That journey's done. And what will come at last? The way leads on. The way leads on. We're on it together. I hope this week your journey is a fulfilling one, and that light and love are a part of it. And I invite you to remember next week is the congregational meeting. Is it next week? Week after next. 16th. Put it on your calendar. Yeah, next week's Easter. We'll have egg hunts and all kinds of stuff for kids, and hope you'll come be a part of that. And in the meantime, go in peace, go in love. So be it. Ashe. Amen. And remember the book sale. Or no, the book giveaway.
Here in reverence now we gather, for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another, that we journey not alone. Here in reverence now we gather, for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another, that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us one, into all that lives and dies. Love calls us home. Love calls us home. Words and deeds of those before us, waking here to keep us strong. Loyal guides to love and duty.